Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. So one thing I forgot to mention in the previous video is that after the lesson's over, because it's a group session, you won't get the opportunity to listen to all the students and to correct them and then to listen to them again and so on and so forth. So it's important that you set a time for them to send the recording. What I personally do is I tell all the students, maybe it's a class of 20, 30 students, so there's no chance I'm listening to all of them in one lesson. What I say to them is that on that same day, by around 5 p.m, send me the recording of the practice from letters alif to kha for the first lesson, and even also explanation of the letters as well. You don't necessarily have to do that, as long as they're pronouncing it fine, that's fine. Okay, and just providing them feedback. There may be certain letters that they're struggling with, like the ha, the kha, the tha, the dad, the sad. So you just provide feedback on those, or whichever ones they're struggling with. If they're struggling with the ba, let's just say, then obviously you correct that, and then they'd have an idea of which letters they need to work on. Then when it comes to the next 14 letters, same thing again. First of all, obviously you do a review from alif till letter kha, just randomly asking them in the group chat as a review from memory to mention the makhraj of each letter. So where does the kha come from? Okay, letter ha, so on. What are the heavy letters? Okay, and so on. Okay, how many heavy letters are there? 7 in total. So going through that. In terms of the letter ra as well, okay, by default, ra without any haraka would be heavy as well. So don't go into detail, because later on when you see the fatha and the kasra, then you can mention it. But just say for now, the ra would be heavy. But later on you discuss that, but it's not counted amongst these 7 heavy letters. So the first part of the session would be a review of that. The second part would be just going through the letters and the makharij of each of these. Ayn, ghayn, the qaf, and so on. Some of these they may find difficult. The ta is a heavier version of the ta. How do you make it heavy, raising the back end of your tongue? All these things. The dad would be difficult as well. And then, so these last 7 are quite easy. So if you think that they're comfortable and you think that even though these 7 will be quite difficult and challenging, but if you think that they're okay with it overall, then you may possibly even go through a bit of this. But to be on the safe side, I would say not to. But what I would do is that when they reach the all the development, once they've done the 28 letters, is to mention the heavy letters as a list and to have them memorized for the following lesson. Okay, so what are the list of the heavy letters? Okay, they should know this from memory by the following lesson. So it's kha, sad, dad, da, va, ghayn, kha. And I'll just ask them to sort of simply memorize it like this, rather than khis, sodaf, din, qib. Personally, I just think it's more easier for them. All they have to do, what I say to them is that after each salah today, just read it 30 times. Kha, sad, da, va, ghayn, kha, sad, da. If they do that 20, 30, 40 times after each salah, by the next day they should know it. So hopefully they would have memorized that. Also then, to also memorize the throat letters, so hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha. I'm not going to write it. Okay, but hamza, ha, ayn, ha, ghayn, kha, they should know that from memory as well. Hamza, of course, we haven't been introduced to it yet, but that's fine. We can say that, we can mention and discuss that later on. So hamza, ha, ayn, ha, in the middle of your throat, or ghayn, kha, from top of your throat, to have that memorized as well. Okay, what I usually do is I just draw something out. So I just say, let's just say that's your throat. Okay, hamza, comes from the, excuse my writing there. Ha, ayn. Apologies, I'm using a mouse pad, so my writing is not very good there. Ha, ghayn. Okay, I've got an Arabic keyboard as well, so I can just do it like that. Hamza, and so on. Okay, so remember to keep it as visual as possible for the students. So when it comes to the heavy letters, if you remember from the previous video, that the letters like the sad, dad, whenever they see that from this day forward, they gotta put a circle on those letters. Okay, so what I just do, you can edit from the PDF itself, but I like to just take it to the paint and then just edit it from there. So yeah, that's the second lesson.